So, just so everybody knows, I got out of the car when I was getting ready to walk in here, and all of a sudden I stepped in a hole and I lifted up my foot, and the entire bottom of my shoe ripped off. So I had two choices. I can either come up here with a big thing of duct tape wrapped around my shoe and have everybody sit there and say, hey, did you know he has duct tape on his shoe? Or I could get up here and I could just go in my socks. So guess what I chose? And so just like the video, I was thinking like, there's some amazing things out there, right? And there's some really beautiful videos, and I love them, and they inspire me, and I wanted to share that inspiration with you as well. And then all of a sudden, there we go. So, what was the video talking about? It's this idea or this concept that getting to know yourself. Ooh, wait a minute. You mean actually spending time with yourself? Yeah. Because what happens when you get to know yourself? Well, then all of a sudden you start paying attention to what you're feeling. Then all of a sudden you can understand that maybe, just maybe, there's something inside of you that's worth spending time with. Oh, so wait a minute then. So in other words, as opposed to what everybody else has told me that I got to worry about everything else outside of myself, maybe instead if I spend some time getting to know myself, getting to know what I like, what I don't like, getting to know what inspires me, what doesn't inspire me, getting to know that still, silent voice that every single one of us has. And that's what makes this place a little bit different, is that we encourage you to do the opposite of everything else out there, which is what? Come on in, and I'm going to tell you how to think, I'm going to tell you what to think, I'm going to tell you exactly what it looks like. We don't do that here. In fact, if you're looking for that, you're probably in the wrong place. Not probably, you are in the wrong place. Because what are we going to do here? We're going to talk about what's inside of you. And we're going to talk about the thing that happens when you start to pay attention to the thing that's inside of you, which is where everything that you want is. Everything that you want is inside of you. Love is there. Compassion is there. Desire is there. Inspiration is there. Your healing. For those of you that are struggling or having issues right now, and I know you're here, I get it, I've been there, still occasionally go in that space, your healing is in here. That's where you start. And when you start paying attention to this stuff, that's what Fillmore's knew. That's what Jesus knew. Everything is inside of you. The only difference between, well, there's a few more than the only. But what don't we do here? No shame, no blame, no guilt, no judgment. None. We don't believe those are tools for transformation at all. And so we come here and we start to pay attention to that which is inside of us. And then guess what? We get inspired. We get inspired to go read a book. We get inspired to listen to music. We get inspired to whatever you get inspired to do. But you start paying attention and listening to what you're being guided to. What's next? Because there's always a next in your own journey. There's always the next thing, the new unfoldment. Some of you have signed up for the Way of Mastery. Beautiful. Some of you are doing some other things. Fantastic. I don't know what it's going to look like for you, but I do know what it looks like for me. And I also know that if you spend the time and get to know what's going on inside of here, you'll know exactly what you need to be doing. No questions asked. So, having said that, we come together again in this beautiful day. You got this guy up here with no shoes on. Videos aren't working. Nothing else is happening. But you know what? We don't care. Because what do we do here? We love. We love each other. We support each other on this journey, warts and all. All of it. We are not going to deny any part of our existence, even the part that goes, ouch, that hurts. We accept it. Why? Because that's life. And we're not going to walk around in denial. We're actually going to do just the opposite. We're going to pull it out and we're going to look at it. Because when you look right at it, you can heal and you can transform. And it just makes this a whole heck of a lot more fun, doesn't it? Especially when we do it with each other. Especially when people show up here and say, hey, what about this? What about this? What about that? We encourage that. We want you to ask questions. You should be asking questions. You should. And guess what? I don't have all the answers. first one to tell you, I do not have all the answers. And that's okay, because I know you do, and I know what's inside of you does. So, sit back. We're super glad that you're here. Thank each and every one of you. I can kind of quickly look at you real quick. Quick. Hi, welcome. We're really glad you're here. So we have a new year. We've done a couple of ceremonies of the last couple of weeks. For those of you that were here, we did a burning bowl, which means we let go of all the stuff we wanted to let go of for 2023. And then what did we do last week? We did the white stone ceremony. For those that you were not here, the white stone ceremony is basically all about new beginnings. And so we have these bookmarks that mark the beginning of 2024. And in addition to this new beginning in 2024, what I like to do is I like to pick a theme that for all of you that would like to join me in this year, it's a theme from a spiritual level that I'm going to be talking about at various times throughout the course of the year. So there's going to be a theme, there's going to be talks about that theme, there's going to be quarterly parts of that theme, but here's the thing, should you choose to accept my invitation, it's all about going deeper. That's what the yearly theme is all about. And this year, and by the way, thank you, Joan, the theme for this year is the calling. That is the theme for this year. And so the calling is something that started happening to me. Well, it's been going on my entire life, because in truth, that's been happening all along for all of us. But where it really started to sink in is this year, and I shared the story with those of you that were here a few months ago, is when I went into my vision quest, where I spent 3 days fasting, out in nature, totally exposed, and drank water, and that was about it. And other than that, with nature. And it was an amazing experience. Again, don't want to bore you with a lot of the details, but what happened out in that time, in that space with nature, once again reminded me how there is always something that is holding us. The space is helping us as we go through our life. And the reason that often we don't hear that is because we're too busy. Flat out, we're too busy. And what I noticed is when I was out in the woods, I started to get in touch with this thing again. And I'm not going to tell you what that thing was. I'm going to let you figure that one out. I have my own opinions. My question would be, what's your opinion? Having said that, there were some things that were shared with me, and I've shared this poem with you before, but for those of you that weren't, I just wanted to share it to you again, because this is what started this thought or this idea of the calling, was the beginning of this. And so, as just a reminder, I was out there, I was going into a ceremony at night, which you do on the Vision Quest, and it's supposed to be, oh, you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do that, it's supposed to look like this, it's supposed to look like that. I set up all this stuff, I go through all of it, and I'm just sitting there, and it's like flat. I mean, there isn't emotion, there isn't nothing, and I'm supposed to be dying, and I'm supposed to be purging, and I'm supposed to be letting all the stuff go, and I do all the stuff, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, and? There was like nothing, right? And then all of a sudden, I started to hear this. Well, there you go again, Mike. You can't even do this right. You can't even frickin' do the simple ceremony. And all of a sudden, this voice starts going, wah, 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 wah. Anybody out there have that voice? Yeah. I guess I'm in the right spot, right? And so this voice starts going. And out of nowhere, it was like thunder. This voice said, this other voice said, never again. Stop. I was like, wow, really? And I happened to have my journal with me, and I wrote the following, and I'm telling you, it just came out. This all came out within about 5 minutes. And so it's called, What About Me? You called on everyone. You called on God, on Jesus, your guides, angels, ascended masters, and elders. but you never called me. And by the way, Mike, this isn't God talking. It's your soul. It's you. Michael, I am here. I've been here the whole time, waiting patiently, without shame, blame, guilt, or judgment. And while it's great to have a relationship with all the others, my question remains, what about me? You've spent your entire life searching high and low, near and far. All the books, the teachers, the masters, the medicine, and even now this, the vision quest. And again, I ask, what about me? Michael, 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 the voice said, hear me. I am here. I am your soul. I am you. This is what you've been looking for the entire time. All this time, the dance you've waited for has been with me. Yes, all of the others have helped, but what you've wanted has always been right here. I am quiet. Often a gentle nudge or a thought. I don't brag or boast. I simply am. It's okay if you took all this time. It was worth it because you're worth it. I'm proud of you, Michael, and you should be too. This time has not been easy on you. I've watched your struggle. I've watched your pain. I've watched your tears. But now you know. The next time you start looking outside of yourself, remember this one magical question. What about me? And as I sat there looking at it, I was just like, whoa. And what it helped me realize is that that kind of wisdom, that kind of guidance, that kind of help is available to all of us. It is. And my experience is that that is constantly going on. But in order for you to grab it, in order for you to catch it, at least for me, it meant that I needed to slow everything down. I needed to listen. And that's really what the calling is all about. The calling is really taking the time, making a decision, like, hey, you know this thing inside of me? Like, I'm going to make this thing a priority. I'm going to start listening to this thing, and I'm going to start seeing what it has to share with me. What wisdom, what insights, what direction, what compassion, what things are there in me that maybe I'm missing because I'm simply just going too fast. And so that's what the calling, that's what this year, that's what this invitation is for you this year, is to follow your own calling. And so I'm going to talk about the calling for a few minutes because sometimes when I say that, I think people get an impression that is not really accurate to what I'm talking about. So I'm going to share a few thoughts on what it is and what it isn't, at least to my understanding. But ultimately, I'm going to challenge you to go within yourself and find out what it means for you. So for me, I'm going to tell you some things that it's not. It's not necessarily your purpose, although it could be, maybe. It's not necessarily your intuition, although maybe it is. I think it goes bigger and deeper than that. That's what I feel. It feels to me like, nah, it's way bigger than those things, right? To me, ultimately what it comes down to, it's a deeper, I'm looking for, or I'm longing for. My soul is asking me for a deeper experience of myself in one or more areas of my life, right? So maybe it's asking you for something more or something less, maybe. Maybe it's asking you to learn something, or maybe it's asking you to let something go. Maybe it's requiring you to make a change in your life. Or maybe not. And that change may be something big or it may be something small, right? So in other words, maybe it requires you to do a lot or maybe it requires you to do a little. The truth is, you'll never know until you start to listen for this thing, because every single calling is different. Every single one. And the other thing I would say is there's not one calling. There's not just one. My experience has been I've had many in my life. Many. And, now here's where it gets complicated, you could even have more than one going on at a time. How many have experienced that in their lifetime? Yeah. And again, the thing that I would say is every one of them looks a little bit different. And what your calling is, what my calling is, what Chuck's calling is, they're different. They're all a little bit different. But here's what I want to promise you, this thought, this concept, this idea of the calling. Right here, right now, every single one of you is being called. You are. That's not the question. The question isn't, are you being called? The question is, what are you doing about it? That's my question to you. So this thing, the calling, it's about learning to listen. It's about learning to pay attention. It's about learning to slow down, to trust, and to know that the universe, if you can really believe this, and by the way, I didn't always believe this, but the universe really is doing everything it can to support you. Everything it can. It's going to send you the right person, the right place, the right book, the right song, the right word. It's doing everything it can to support you. And when you open yourself up to that understanding, and you slow down, and you start to listen, then all of a sudden, there starts to be this thing that starts to happen, right? But if you don't slow down, if you don't listen, then guess what? These whispers, these signs, these nudges go away. Because they're not going to keep screaming at you. They're not going to keep yelling at you. This is subtle, just like what happened with me on the Vision Quest. I'm quiet. It took me slowing down and letting go of everything. Food, my phone, technology, family, everything. I had nothing but nature, and in nature I found everything. And so it's there for each and every one of us. When you decide, yeah, I think this is good for me. I think this feels good, right? So what might it look like? I don't know. I'm going to share some of the thoughts that it was for me. It's more contemplative practices. It's more sitting down, maybe doing some journaling, maybe doing some meditation, maybe doing some prayer. I already said this. Walks in nature, to me, are magical, absolutely magical. Ultimately, it's less doing and more being. Less doing and more being in the present moment. Open to whatever life, the universe, God, source, your soul has to share with you. That's what it's like to follow the calling. Could be, oh, maybe I should pick up this book. Oh, wow, maybe I should go on this cool trip to Unity Village. Maybe I should hang out afterwards and have coffee with the people that are hanging out at Unity just to talk about more spiritual things. I don't know what it is for you, right? I mentioned this before, but for me, the word that came through was space. And I was saying how that by space, It led me into this idea of doing more being versus doing, which I've shared with you. And then by being more than doing, then guess what? I get access. What am I getting access to? God. God. My divinity. Myself. And guess what happens when I do that? Oh, I don't know. Maybe I can be more loving. Maybe I could be more compassionate. Maybe I could be more giving. Maybe I can help people more. Maybe I can have more grace, more forgiveness. How about if I just show up and be a better person? Wouldn't that be fun? Just to be a better person to all your friends and family? That's not too bad, you know? But again, it comes down to what it is it's inside of you, what you're looking for. So with the calling, with this journey I'm inviting you to, it comes down to this question. What are you doing about it? What are you going to do? Are you listening to it or are you not? And so the invitation this year is going to invite you into the calling. So play with this. Make this fun. This journey, this awakening, this process, this unfolding, we can actually have fun doing this, you know. I know, I get serious sometimes too, but it doesn't always have to be serious. It can be light, and it can be fun, and it can be joyful. And we can sing, and we can dance, and we can play music together. We can hug each other, we can love on each other. And even if you didn't get anything right here, just like I was saying last week with the white stone ceremony, don't worry about it. It'll show up when it needs to show up, in the way that it needs to show up for you. If you did get something, I might suggest maybe taking a few minutes at some point in time within the next day or two, maybe just start to write some things down. What's this? What's this? Because it's like, just imagine for a minute that you're tuning into a radio station, maybe for the first time or the first time in a long time, and all of a sudden it's like you hear this, all this static stuff going on, and all of a sudden it's like, there we go. And it's like when we set the intention, like I want to figure out what it is that my calling is, it's like the universe goes, oh, I get it. They want to know what's going on. So then the universe can go, okay, we got it. And it's really your soul connecting with the universe and connecting with the divine that's doing it. But when we set that kind of intention, that can be what happens, right? So just give yourself some space for this. Even if it's a couple of days, a couple of weeks, or for you crazy ones that want to spend the whole year doing it, I'm going to be talking about it. Because I'm going to invite you into this journey, this calling, if you will, to explore it. Because my impression is that there's a lot to explore, especially if you've never really done it before. Right? So it kind of reminds me, as you think about, should I do this or not? Is this crazy thing? I'm going to read you the story of the two seeds. The two seeds lay side by side in the fertile soil. The first seed said, I want to grow. I want to send my roots deep into the soil beneath me and thrust my sprouts through the earth's crust above me. I want to unfurl my tender buds like banners to announce the arrival of spring. I want to feel the warmth of the sun on my face and the blessing of the morning dew on my petals. And so she grew. The second seed said, if I send my roots into the ground below, I don't know what I'm going to encounter. Because it's going to go into the dark. I'm afraid of the dark. If I push my way through the hard soil above me, I may damage my delicate petals. What if I let my buds open and a snail tries to eat them? And if I were to open my blossoms, a small child may pull me from the ground. No, it's much better for me to wait until it's safe. And so she waited. A yard hen, scratching around the earth spring, ground for food, found the waiting seed, and properly ate it. This dance that you're doing, I got news for you. It's real, folks. This is no joke. Your life, your journey into your own divinity, it's real. It's only as real as you want to make it. And so as you think about this year, this 2024, which to me is going to be the most powerful year this planet has ever seen, I think there's going to be unbelievable things that happen this year. And I just think it's going to be a really good idea to know what's going on inside of yourself as stuff starts to shake, rattle, and roll. And so as you think about this year, really it just comes down to a decision. Which one of the seeds do you want to be? And do you want to engage? And so for those of you that want to engage, welcome. I'm really glad you're here. I'm really glad you're joining us. We're going to have fun. We're going to laugh. We're going to cry. All of the above. And you know what the best part is? We get to do it together. That's the coolest part. That's the part that makes this so much fun. And when I say this, I mean us, this community, coming together and doing fun, exciting things to help us remember. So, you're amazing. You're beautiful. You're needed. You're divine. You're loved. You are not forgotten. Thank you so much for being you, that individual expression of the divine. We are all blessed to have you here, just because of who and what you are. It is a gift. Don't ever forget that. I love you. Have a great day. Thank you.
Hey, it's Reverend Mike here. I just wanted to stop for a moment before you get on with your day and thank you so much for spending time with us this morning. It means the world to us, and I just wanted to let you know if there's anything that we can do to make your experience even better, please do not hesitate to reach out by going to our website. I also wanted to offer you the opportunity for us to get together and sit down so I could get to know you a little bit better and answer any questions that you have. I can either do that by either getting together in person, have a cup of coffee, or we can meet online via Zoom. If you're interested, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can reach me at michael@courage2thrive.com. And lastly, if you find these messages are helping you, we would be tremendously grateful if you'd consider donating to the center. The best and the easiest way to do that is simple. Just go to our website. Again, thank you so much. Hope you have a great day. Hope you're doing well. God bless, and we hope to see you soon. Bye-bye now.